is the 5th round of the 5-club racing MX-5 Cup for 2020, and it's away then for 15 minutes. Who's made the best start? It's pretty even between Short and Greytrex. Richard Baxter trying to come up the inside from row 2. There's a bit of shuffling in the middle, and up the inside goes young Greytrex. So Callum Greytrex grabs the lead through Abbey Corner, and the 43-car grid flow through the complex for the first time. Matthew Short trying to fight back. Richard Baxter looking up the inside. And round the outside, Matthew Short regains a lead then, away from Callum Greytrex. And everybody here has got to be cautious into the hairpin, not to run into the back, as there's a concertina effect on lap 1. Greytrex now trying to fight back. This will be the 3rd change of lead in the race. We've only had a half a lap, and now as they're side by side, Richard Baxter's keen to get involved. It might be 3 abreast when they head down towards Stowe Corner. Can we make it 4? Well, Tom Smith's pretty close. He's following Baxter. Is he pushing him along? Yes, they've worked together, haven't they, to get past the other 2. So it's Baxter that leads from Smith, and then side by side between Greytrex and Short. Steve Foden looking up the inside in 77. He's alongside Matthew Short there. And then the rest of the field flow through Stowe Corner. Great sight this is. So it is Richard Baxter that leads into the chicane ahead of Tom Smith, then Callum Greytrex, Steve Foden round the outside of Matthew Short to try and grab 4th, and he's made it. And then you've got Marcus Bailey in 6th, Ben Hansey 7th, then race 1 winner Jason Greytrex is there in 8th position. So I think Courtney Milnes might have lost a few places on this opening lap. They complete 1 lap, 2 and 3 wide in the background there, but it is Richard Baxter then that leads into Abbey. Yes, Courtney Milnes has dropped behind John Pethwick. There's been a big spin at Abbey though, so let's pick that up. There it is. It's Matthew Short out of 5th position. He's going to rejoin, but much, much further down the order, unfortunately, for him. There's diving up the inside. Stephen Craggs to gain a couple, but he may run out wide. Dramatic stuff, as you'd expect in a reverse grid race, and as you'd expect in any kind of MX-5 racing. But there are the leaders. There's a 4-car breakaway. That's Richard Baxter, Tom Smith, Callum Greytrex and Steve Foden. Matthew Short, when he spun, that's rather split the pack up, and it's Ben Hansey, reigning champion, that heads the rest.
Yeah, that's right, Josh. And Courtney Milnes got jostled down into 10th place during all of that, whereas Jason Greytrex, Ben Hansey was 7th, Greytrex 8th at the end of the first lap. They didn't kind of make a lot of progress, did they, any of them? But that 4-car barrage down the Hanger Straight was amazing, how the 2 on the inside managed to come past the 2 who were leading onto the straight. That was superb.
Into Vale there, Steve Foden got the better of Callum Greytrex. He went up the inside of him to go ahead. But some of the battles in the pack, it is fantastic. Wherever you are in the field, you will find somebody to race in the 5-club racing MX-5 Championship. And here are the leading pack, with Richard Baxter a 2nd ahead now of Tom Smith. Then Steve Foden looking to come through. Yes, he's into 2nd, isn't he? So Foden up to P2. He was twice a runner-up at Snetterton. He was only beaten by Ben Short there, who won all the races. So Foden certainly has the pace. Didn't go as well in race 1 as you might have expected. There's Ben Hansey leading the rest, diving up the inside there. Courtney Milnes trying to get the better of race 1 winner in the red line car. That's Jason Greytrex. They're 7th and 8th now, following Marcus Bailey. But Richard Baxter getting away up front. So will Foden and Smith and Greytrex work together to try and go after him? Of course, in that earlier race, Marcus, Richard Baxter seemed to have a lot of pace, but he seemed to run wide in some of the battles. But now he's up front. I wonder if he might be able to get away.
Yeah, he's not kind of involved in all that sort of jostling. Just drive his own race. That's quite important. 77 there, Steve Foden, who's got his way through into that 2nd place. He's trying everything he knows to reel Baxter in. He's got to keep it really tight, really neat, and kind of try to ignore, if that's possible, what's happening in his mirrors. The next 4 are even closer together, with Courtney Milnes coming up the inside and grabbing a place past the pits. That's at the expense of Jason Greytrex, who won the earlier race today.
And Marcus Bailey's got ahead of Ben Hansey too. So the podium drivers from earlier are not making the progress they would have liked. There they are all together in 6th, 7th and 8th. So the only car they have passed is Matthew Short, and he spun.
Because he made it sort of rather easy for them, didn't he? But still some great avoidances in the middle of that when he dropped in at Abbey on lap 2.
There's Jason Greatrex chasing Courtney Milnes. They're the leaders, much further up the road. I think it's fair to say. Baxter, Foden, Smith and Greatrex, that's Callum. And then these four that look like they're just one MX-5 heading down the hanger straight, being headed by the Midland tyre shaver, Marcus Bailey. Then Ben Hansey, Courtney Milnes and Jason Greatrex.
Is that something you've seen on his passport? Occupation tyre shaver. Quite something.
Down to the Vale they come. It's a 15-minute race. We're a third of the way into it. Best of the rest in ninth is John Pethwick ahead of Stephen Craggs. There they are just in the background. It's the back of the fifth, heading through club. Richard Baxter keeping that second or so advantage over the chasers, being headed by Steve Foden. I think Baxter did get pole, didn't he, in the earlier race, so the quickest driver in qualifying. And here's that battle for fifth. Bailey and Hansey at the head of it. And they're going through Farm Curve. There's been another spinner at Abbey by the looks of it. Yellow flags just in front of the commentary box window.
Vivid blue car.
So plenty of drama in this race. On the screens, we see the fifth place battle there, and at the back of it, Courtney Milnes having a look at Ben Hansey. Couldn't quite do anything about him.
Which is much closer coming out onto the hanger straight and taking lots of momentum. The car ahead of Hansey, that's Marcus Bailey, just moving to the right to try to distract the tow, redirect the tow.
The tyres grin is quite extraordinary, isn't it? On the effect mics, you can hear that much more than the 1600cc engines. So there's Smith in the Ben Short Motorsport car. He's fallen away from Steve Foden now. Strangely, the reverse grid race seems to have less drama in it than the race this morning, which is interesting. Baxter going away up front then from Steve Foden. Then the battle for third, Tom Smith and Callum Greatrex. And the four cars battling for fifth, being headed by Marcus Bailey. Here they are, into Abbey. Ben Hansey right on the back of Bailey. And then Courtney Milnes and Jason Greatrex are right there too. As they cross the line, there's a second between them all, and Courtney Milnes is up the inside of Ben Hansey. That doesn't work. So Jason Greatrex looks to the outside. He's got a better exit therefore. Takes the wider line through the King. A big bump in the middle of it as the two tracks combine. But it doesn't work for him. He stays behind Courtney Milnes. A bit further up the road is Callum Greatrex having a go there at Tom Smith. He was sort of wasn't sitting in the tow as you'd expect. Here's Hansey on Bailey. And Jason Greatrex has really dropped away. Has he got a problem, I wonder?
Looks like he has. He's kind of pulled away to the right-hand side of the circuit. And that's Hansey going past Bailey at quite easily at Stowe. Bailey comes back at him though, the next corner into Vale.
They're 4 seconds behind those ahead now, which would make you think that they're not really going to catch them.
I wonder whether simply Greatrex Senior missed a gear and the loss of momentum has meant he's fallen prey to John Pethwick, I think.
And Pethwick going well. Getting involved in this group, which were battling for the lead this morning. New driver on me, and it's John, so he's having a good run. And behind, there's some good battling too. But let's look at, there's Pethwick in the blue car, 52, just ahead of race one winner, Jason Greatrex. There's a bit of a twitch through the hairpin. Yeah, novice cross on the back of John Pethwick's car. So this is his first season of racing. In his first 6 races, so this is quite an effort, Marcus, to be in the top 10 of this competitive field.
It is indeed, and yeah, it's looking promising for the rest of the season for him. That lead gap has been 1.37, 1.37, 1.38 for the last 3 laps.
So if Steve Foden can just get close enough to get in the tow, it'll drag him right with Richard Baxter, won't it? But Baxter's just about keeping the draft at bay.
Greatrex has come back at Pethwick and tied on the outside of Stowe. Now going to try to outbrake him into Vale and looks quite convincing as he does so. Yes, he's through on the inside. The red line car, 35, back past John Pethick putting him back into 9th place.
And in front, Marcus Bailey slowing, is he? Problem for...
Yes, he has, and Courtney Milnes has dived past. Yes, Bailey's in trouble.
He's pulling off here at Abbey Corner. So a real shame there for him, because he was having a decent run. Looking down, now he's going to... I'm not really sure he knows where to go. It would have been helpful if he turned left and pulled off there. There's plenty of place a bit further on if he can find a good place to park. Here's a battle a bit further back in the pack. Shows you in the 5 Club Series, it's racing throughout the field. So you've got Tom Holland at the front of this. Then 113 is Alex Rivette. There was support for him on the live stream earlier. Stephen Craggs is 47, and 17 is Howard Lancashire. So with the loss of Bailey, this is a battle to be inside the top 10. Howard Lancashire pops out the toe, then Alex Rivette does. Rivette trying to pass Holland here, and 113 up the inside. He was ahead at the line just, and now he reclaims what now is 10th position. Novice Cross on the back of the Holland car, and then Stephen Craggs and Howard Lancashire behind. Lancashire goes to the outside of all of them into the chicane here. Up the inside, Stephen Craggs. Is he going to get the better of another of the BS Motorsport cars, the 230 of Holland? No, Holland's just about hanging on there. And now that's going to allow Howard Lancashire to look up the inside for the second part of Club Corner. And that brings Matthew Short into it, the driver that started on pole and had a spin earlier. But this is a yellow flag zone they're approaching, so they will have to respect that as they turn into Abbey. Short just got the better of Lancashire before they got to the yellows, and there's the Bailey car being recovered by our team of Silverstone Marshals. So 10th place battle then into the British hairpin, headed by 113 Rivette, but now back up the inside of him comes Holland. They run side by side through the link road between the two halves of the Grand Prix circuit, but Rivette hanging on. But this really does show, Marcus, that whatever your pace is, you will find someone to race against, and many of them in most cases.
Yeah, very much so. And that bright green car of Craggs in the middle of all that, now poking its nose out on the hangar straight. There's 2 behind him, giving a kind of a cumulative, almost like a push effect down there. And they come down to Stokes, almost 3 abreast. It is 3 abreast, and through the inside comes Stephen Craggs in the 47, but he runs really wide as a result and may lose out again on the exit. He might be able to hang on, but it's getting tough, this one. Up the inside, brake as late as you dare, get the nose turned in, and, well, there's got to be some paint traded there. Oh, yes, there is, more than paint. A bang, 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 thank you very much, and keep driving. A bit of a shame.
Well, Matthew Short passed them all on that lap. He started the lap in 14th and will end it in 10th. Yeah,
Craggs, who was busy congratulating himself for overtaking 2 into Stowe, is now effectively out of the race.
A whole great group of cars heading into Abbey now, where Stephen Craggs has rejoined. Here they are. I think that's Dan Blake on the inside. Craggs is right in the middle of it. He must be wondering what on earth he's come out in. This is a 16th place, is it? Something like that battle. No, 14th. I think Blake was 16th across the line, but got 14th into Abbey. That's Lloyd Huggins behind, then David Abbott. Then 26, which is Ryan Lovelock. You've got triple 1 in there. That's Tim Gray. You've got number 9, Ian Tomlinson, a former winner in the category. As they make their way through onto the hangar straight. But absolutely awesome to see these battles that perhaps we didn't really get to focus on in race 1 because the lead battle was so intense. But it's great to see the action that you can have in this championship. They're 4 abreast almost heading down there at the back of the group. On the outside there, 96, that's Sam Moody. There's Tomlinson, former winner in the category, a bit further back this weekend. Howard McDonald in there. Some of the cars running very wide on the exit of Stowe Corner. 26 then towards the front of the group, Ryan Lovelock, but he's out-braked there by David Abbott, who goes down the inside of him. And then you've got triple 1 just behind the Tim Gray car. And then you've got Craggs trying to make his way back through in a slightly damaged car. At the back of the group there, number 18, that's Jason Fong, who I think you know, Marcus, ace photographer, does a bit of stuff down at Goodwood.
Getting stuck in, is Jason Fong.
He raced an MGB earlier on in the season, but this MX-5 race, and I suspect slightly more frantic. 50 off the road, by the way. That's William Pickard. This is the battle for third. Tom Smith has been re-caught by Jason Greatrex and, Callum Greatrex, I should say. And Greatrex trying to come around the outside of Smith here. Looks like we're going to have 6 different podium finishers in the 2 MX-5 races, doesn't it? This is the last lap of the race.
Going that way.
The top 4 all didn't finish on the podium earlier. These are the drivers that did finish on the podium. They're battling for 5th. It's Ben Hansey ahead of Courtney Milnes and Jason Greatrex with John Pethick behind, but across the line it's a driver 61 driver, Richard Baxter, that wins for the first time in the 5 Club Racing MX-5 Championship. He beat Steve Foden by a second, with Tom Smith third and Callum Greatrex fourth. Ben Hansey is 5th. Jason Greatrex does beat Courtney Milnes to 6th, and then John Pethick in 8th, and then a big old gap to the rest, which should be Adrian Johnson in 9th, but he's been caught by Matthew Short on this last lap. They both clobbered the curb through Club Corner, but holding on just about is Adrian Johnson. Then Howard Lancashire and Alex Rivette up next. Dan Blake got 13th from Tom Holland on the last lap of that race, and then Lloyd Huggins, P15 for him, and then they just continue to flow out of Club Corner, 2 and 3 wide across the line. It's a great race in there in the 5 Club Racing MX-5 Cup. And Baxter, Foden and Smith, both Baxter and Smith taking their first podium. No, Smith got 1 third at Snetterton in the first round, I should say. But Baxter, his first podium of the season. His best result before now was a 5th this season, so he bettered that position pretty well, didn't he, to win here at Silverstone. But I think, Marcus, it's fair to say we enjoyed the MX-5 Championship here at Silverstone.
Yeah, the second race wasn't anything like as exciting as the first, unless you were, of course, in that car 8 out front. Richard Baxter will think it's the greatest race probably he's ever driven, so well done to him, and a well-deserved victory over Steve Foden and Tom Smith. And yeah, another very, very good race.
Yeah, Scott Mansell, Brands Hatch lap record holder, saying that he's been working with Richard Baxter over the last few years. I imagine giving him quite a bit of coaching. And
coming out the woodwork, claim the glory. Well done.
And Scott raced with us at Snetterton in the Mazda 7 series, so it'd be good to have Scott back out in the 750 Motor Club this season, perhaps. But good to have Richard Baxter with 5 Club for the full season and now taking his victory. Great support for a lot of the MX-5 Championship, and it's very much a championship that you can get involved in for a very decent budget indeed, which is ideal way of getting into club racing. We saw so many novice crosses as well, didn't we, in that race, and actually some of them pretty near the front. Yeah,
actually there's some. Is there a specific novice prize within that championship?
No, I don't think so. Perhaps that's an idea for Alan Robson to add into the championship. Well, those looming clouds are now got to Silverstone. The weather forecast not got any rain on it at the moment, but that black cloud perhaps has other ideas.
Well, there is that fabled Silverstone microclimate to discuss and discover.
Just going back on what we were talking about prior to that race, we've had a comment come in from Dan Bentham, directing to you, Marcus, saying totally with you on the old days of Formula 4. They were fantastic self-designed and built cars, which were really quick too.
They were, absolutely. I remember the Blaney brothers with their Blay cars, the 250 and 650 cars. I remember the many Vixens, and Mike Wilds went on to Grand Prix racing. He drove a Vixen, as did Marcus Musser. He was a Vixen driver, the historic Formula 3 racer who was born in Liverpool, although he's Monegasque. And yeah, that's some really, really good days. JW4s, Johnny Walker 4s, other really fine cars. And Formula 4 evolved over the eras to sort of kind of embrace what was around from the senior formulae, and also allowed you to do your own thing as well. There were some modified Formula 4 2000s that came out in it, and it continued for a very long time under the 750 Motor Club banner, but then got kind of, was it sequestrated or whatever, or taken away for modern one-make racing.
And it's good to have some of the teams that were, or drivers and families that were involved there, and still with the 750 Motor Club. You got Jim Ward, who runs his son's car in Hot Hatch now. He won a championship last year. Hopefully they're watching on the live stream. And of course John Moore was a long-time Formula 4 racer, and he runs the cars in Sport Special. So it's great that even though Formula 4 went away, some of those drivers went into other parts of the club. But back here at Silverstone, the MX-5 Cup top 3 are downstairs with Matt Suckling.
So down here with our third place man, first off, as Richard Baxter did an extra lap, we're going to speak with third place man, which is Tom Smith. Tom, many congratulations on third there. Did you enjoy the race?
Thanks, it was hard work that was, but yeah, very good race. A lot of fun, like the one this morning really. Just managed to get on the podium, which was nice.
Not too much action compared to the first one. I think it was a little bit more strung out, but you kept up with the lead group.
Yeah, that was quite intense, that race. The first race was slower, well, the times were probably quicker, but the race felt slower because there was a lot more overtaking, so it was one big train, whereas this was intense because Callum was obviously very close behind me, and it was hard to keep up with Steve and Richard then, really struggled with it, so it's good to get a result, to be honest.
Any reason for not keeping up, tyres or the track or anything like that?
No, I'm not David Coulthard, so I won't make any excuses. I'm just not very good, or not good enough.
Good result though, more points for the championship, which is all important.
Yeah, apparently so. If we get sort of to the last couple of rounds and I'm somewhere in the mix, then I'm sure it'll become really important. For now, it's just having fun, isn't it? So we'll see, yeah.
Good stuff, well done, Tom.
Thank you.
There we go, Tom Smith in third place. We'll bring in Steve Foden, who finished in second place. Steve, great race out there with you and Richard. How do you enjoy it?
To be honest, I was really struggling to keep up with him. Like, you know, obviously the first few laps I managed to break away. Tom and Callum were doing a good job keeping up, and then there was one lap where they both, you know, there was three of us on the train, they decided not to make the move, and then they started squabbling a little bit, and I saw them disappear in the mirrors, and I was like, right, let's focus forwards, try and catch up with Richard. Everything I tried, every lap onto the back straight, the car wasn't handling too great through there, so I was just losing a load of time, catching through the rest of the lap, lose it there, so it was kind of a bit of cat and mouse towards the end of it, but it was enjoyable nonetheless.
Just shows how close the cars are though, because with the reverse grid you then move to the front rather than being in kind of 7th or 8th place, so it kind of shows how very close this series and championship is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had a bit of a mess up in qualifying where we got our pole time disallowed for track limits or some kind of technicality, so we kind of were on the back foot going into the first race, managed to claw back a couple of places, and then to be going into the reverse grid on second, on the second row, I was thinking, this is doable to get on the podium, so I'm quite happy with the result. To be able to get here in second, it's good.
On to the next one now, and looking forward to that?
Absolutely, yeah. We've got, which one is it next? I think Castle Combe next. Thank you.
Well done, good luck, Steve, and of course our third place man there, Tom. I'm not sure if Richard is about. He's disappeared to the assembly area, and he's quite a way to be able to be caught there, so I think Richard has disappeared unfortunately, but we've got away with a third and second place men, which is good enough, and that brings a close to the MX-5 5 Club racing here at Silverstone for this weekend. And as the guy said, we're off to Castle Combe next, but in the meantime we've got MR2s on track next.